Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We have a special guest who's sitting backstage from Solar Systems Astrology. This is Joe coming in. We've done many classes before. Many people love him, and I love it for y'all loving him. Today, I'm going to be one of the hosts. Just go ahead and listen into the fact that we have this fixed star that you're going to see very soon conjunct Saturn and Pisces. So without further ado, go ahead and welcome Joe. Check out his channel. You have his links up at the top of the screen. You already see them at the top of the chat. And today, this is what we're looking at. All right. I'm going to go ahead and show you out his background and bring. All right, baby. So what's going on? What it do, man? How you living? How you living?
Oh man, we're living it up as we speak right now, dealing with all this post Aquarius full moon nonsense as it seems to be a regular thing now. And yeah, we're gonna get into this new Saturn conjunction and really start talking it down.
Oh, you
So
got
yeah,
some fans already. They already calling you cute, man. They already calling you cute. They like, you know, here handsome.
it's a side effect of existence. You know how it goes.
Side effect of existence. So what is this fixed star we got going on? What is Saturn and Pisces having to do with this conjunction at 4 degrees of Cancer? Tell me something.
Yeah, so I mean, we can start out with Fomalhaut, but how I like to do things, which will kind of lead into how I sort of ascertain all of these breakdowns from these alignments, because it's like, once you're in the space for like a while, you kind of begin to realize you get your system flowing of where you're just like, you look at that and you're like, oh, you just instantly know what it means because you have your system down in a sense, That's why, I call everything I do solar systems so that at the end of the day, once I'm done putting all this out, people don't have to bother me directly and they can just use everything I've created to ascertain what they need. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So point is we have to look at what is Saturn, what is 4 degrees of Pisces at a numerological perspective, what is the actual star at angles, and then what constellation is that star in, right? So through that, you can begin to ascertain what it actually is without knowing any of the like mythology and all the stuff behind it, right? But
Sure.
we'll do that. We'll work our way down. So we have Fomalhaut, which is one of the 4 royal fixed stars, and it's correlated one of the 4 royal arch angles in the actual, just constellation and solar system and universe that we actually live in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what this is the start from the spiritual perspective, but from our perspective, this is the end because Fomalhaut is correlated to the archangel Gabriel, and it kind of deals with a lot of like death. It's like, well, you did Michael, birth, you did Raphael, you sustained your experience, and then now you're at Uriel. You're like, do you want to keep going on this path? And then if you make it all the way past that, you get to Gabriel, which is like, all right, man, you tried, but in order to create space for a new and really grow the energies that we're really working with, we gotta, put some things under the rug and keep it pushing. You know what I'm saying? Basically, in a layman's terms, means, well, your experience is done, so it's time to expire. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh, I like the way you worded that.
Yeah, I'm trying to be nicer nowadays. You know how it goes. But it's not exactly it's not really bad in a sense because it's not your essence that's expiring. It's not your experience that is expiring. It's more or less your vessel, because it's like at sometimes
your physical vessel.
Yeah, your physical vessel, correct.
Okay.
Because it's like I mean, when you get into the higher dimensions and whatnot, it's like eventually, your vessel is a thought form. Eventually, your vessel is a vibration. Eventually, you got to move on to the next level. You know what I'm saying? So when a bunch of people, eventually spirits get together and they vote in however way they do it, maybe it doesn't look the same way you do it, and they're like, you know what, this experience just isn't really pushing it in this realm. That's what Fomalhaut, aka Gabriel, comes in and kind of swoops in with these lessons of just like, no, you are not doing this anymore. No, you have to move on and do somewhere else. And once again, it doesn't mean your soul, doesn't mean your essence is gone or the experience is gone. It just means the actual vessel. Point being is to simplify it and how it actually applies to our experience is we need to distill down what we're building towards. We need to distill down what our values are. We need to distill down what we're actually, constructing in our life. What are our boundaries? What are our restrictions? What are our limits? Because it doesn't always apply the same way in a general sense. Fomalhaut and really understanding how it actually works applies to the actual sign that it's in, because it's not always going to be in Pisces for the coming futures. It's not always going to even be in, it will always technically be a part of the Pisces constellation. But when we get into how, Western astrology and all that stuff actually works, that calculation has no direct correlation to the actual stars, unless you look a little deeper into the actual degrees, which is why we bring in that numerological aspect. But to keep the focus, we will be moving on from these energies at some point. So it's important to know what stars are actually connected to, what is aligning with it. And then, this is like kind of like my whole tirade where we were talking a little bit back and forth about the Lion's Gate and what, some people say it actually is versus what other people extract from that experience. It's the same thing, right? We're in the field of calculating for astrological and astronomical alignments. So if we're going to say something's happening, we got to do it right. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Being back to the whole Fomalhaut aspect, if we get into moving on from that and actually applying it to Saturn, we know that Pisces and that actual energy deals with the subconscious. It deals with your intuition. It deals with spirituality. It's following your spiritual flow, right? So if we bring what I spoke on earlier back in the beginning of how in the spirit realm, this is the actual start. What are we getting to here? We're getting to the classic spiritual experience of, where things end is where things begin, right? So in some way, we're coming to a new beginning, a new understanding of distilling and getting rid of everything that's applying to these actual retrogrades that we're experiencing, to talk about it in a holistic sense, and really, really distilling down to what is the essence that we've learned through all of this experience to push into this new world, right? Because after all these retrogrades end, this like 7 summer of retrogrades is really pushing everybody to focus back on everything they went through in the past 8 years. We're getting to this new world because
why 8 years? Why 8 years?
The Venus cycle. Venus retrograde was last 8 years ago in 2015, which is why the retrogrades kind of have a very specific focus on that time of life, all the way up until about 2022, since all the other, further generational planets are moving into those specific degrees. So that's why.
Does this have anything to do with the Venus star point?
Perhaps. I think it was. I don't.
Because I know we just got like another petal on the whole Venus 5-point star, right? With the Venus and Leo was one more petal. It was Capricorn, Libra, Leo now. I think Taurus before. I'm not positive. I'm not an expert on the Venus star point. That's why I asked about it.
Yeah, no, I'm not an expert either. I saw something about it, and I was kind of I was asking someone else about it, but they weren't exactly giving me the most direct answer. So I'm not sure myself. I'm not sure if the 8-year cycle is either the total petal or it is planning out the new 30 years. We'll touch on that. I don't know about that.
We'll touch on that in a moment.
Yeah.
Thank you. So here's what we do for the moment. We'll let our thoughts recollect. I'm going to say, one, everybody hit the thumbs up and the likes button. If you're watching us on my channel or if you're watching this on Joe's channel, make sure you go ahead and cross over, okay? Make sure you do your cross bleed. With that being said, we're going to allow ourselves to catch that thought as you hit that subscription button. If you're watching this on replay, I want to say thank you for being here. If you're watching this on replay, no matter which live you're watching this from, my channel or Joe's, I want you to drop a Pisces down in the comment. Make sure you get this video out there. Just get a Pisces zodiac, get a fish zodiac, drop that in the comments. And then when we come back, I'm going to ask Joe, how is the full moon in Pisces playing a part? Because the full moon in Pisces happened right at 7 degrees. And this is starting off at 4 degrees with the Fomalhaut star, the fixed star Fomalhaut. Saturn in Pisces at 4 degrees as well. So that's only a 3-degree orb. And I know he has some thoughts and insights on how the full moon coming up at the end of the month on my sister's birthday, actually, August 31st. I know he has some beautiful thoughts. So beyond that, Steph, we're going to get to your question as well that we see here about, you having your Saturn in Libra. But what I want to do is say, make sure that you take the moment to check out the retreat that we're running here in Guadalajara, Mexico. Because one thing that I know Pisces is a part of Jupiter. It is foreign travel. It is travel abroad, as well as taking a retreat. Okay, taking a retreat. If you know you're all going, so far what I got from Joe is that we're coming into this mass ending, especially in the physical reality. Illusions starting to kind of come to a close. They're fusing and fizzling out, taking us on this grand story where we can kind of let go of certain physical values that we've had as we rebuild into this new next 30 years that Alexander has said in the chat. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and take a moment to show you all this little promo video on the retreat. And then we're going to go ahead and keep moving on from there. All right, all right. So that was the lovely Eileen's voice in the background. I was actually me playing my drums. And so this is going to be one of the events that's going down at the retreat. I want to make that announcement. If you're feeling called into it, you feel your heart pulling on you, and you realize that this is something you feel is going to support you in this transition, go ahead and fill out the application. Remember, nobody's getting through the door without the app. So, Joe, I want to say thank y'all for hitting the thumbs up again. Coming from solar systems, okay, we got the Pisces full moon, we got the fixed star Fomalhaut. It's about a 3-degree orb. What impact do you think this full moon is going to have, and how can we prepare for it? What is the insight that you have to give to us?
Well, it's going to be the full realization of everything we kind of just glossed over. I know it's a big cycle, and we touched on a lot of different points that, you know, we can get a little more concise with that aspect. But what you sort of will realize on the full moon is kind of what you've already been like needing at and really just like feeling in a sense. So if you've been feeling something like just all the extraneous things that you are doing in a sense in life aren't kind of, they just like you don't feel fulfilled in any sense. What I was talking about in regards of what will be distilled down is that aspect that you will realize on the full moon. So if you feel like your purpose in life is this, you need to exclusively focus on this, you will notice kind of everything just sort of slowly crumbling around that isn't that. Like you'll notice all of these benefits will show up, especially pay attention on the, I don't have any other water moon signs coming up in between the Pisces full moon. But what I will say is just pay attention to what's going on right now, especially during the Scorpio full moon. No, it's not the full moon, but the Scorpio moon, because we're actually experiencing this trine of this water energy right now. So it's pretty easy up until about, when does the moon enter Sagittarius? What is that?
That's about 3 days, 4 days from now.
Thursday? Yeah. So we're kind of experiencing an opportunity right now to get a brief little insight on what we need to focus on just through this little scorpiation moment that we're kind of going through, where you may notice you just woke up today and you're just like, ugh, what happened? Like you got one.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of terrible things. And you're just like, what the hell's going on? So basically, it really is an opportunity to kind of like dive into yourself, take that step back, and really listen to what those retrogrades are pushing you to do, which I would argue that almost every planet in the sky is pushing you to do right now, which is take a step back from your intentions, really see what you need to focus on in order to optimize and really extend what is the best motivation factor and actually push your intentions forward, because we're really, really kind of coming into an interesting time, like he was saying, for the next 30 years. So really pay attention on this one, because what I will say to, you know, keep it concise is just distill down exactly what you feel you incarnated to do, because the full moon is going to reveal that to you, whether you like it or not. Because while we will have some insights on the beginning of the full moon, we still have Neptune retrograde coming up after the fact. So it'll kind of be like a dualistic mirror of like, here's what you incarnated to do, exactly what you incarnated to do. Here's everything that we're going to rip away from it. But then we have Neptune coming in after the fact, which will either A, reveal all of those dreams and illusions from the past that you've been experiencing, blocking you from your true purpose, or B, you're going to dive straight into it and really just not listen at all. It's kind of like that kind of dualistic factor is really like what we're working with here. So I don't know. What do you think about that based on what I've said?
So one, I was checking in with the retrograde of Neptune beginning on June 30th. So it already began and going up until about December 6th. Yes. So one, I was just kind of looking at the timeline. So understand December 6th, Neptune is already in retrograde, right? We got Pluto in retrograde. Let's pull this up. And I feel like it's going to give us the structure that will help us understand from a visual standpoint how much is really going on right now. So let me go ahead and take the moment to share my screen.
Yeah.
Say it again.
We're about to go into that week of 7 retrogrades.
Right. Once Mercury hits, right?
Yeah, and then like shortly after that, because I think we're still waiting on Jupiter. It's going to be like 7 retrogrades for like a very brief period, and then it's going to like go back to 4. Because then we have Venus.
I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. Okay. So here's what we're looking at, right? So right now we got Venus in retrograde, right? And it's kind of moving. It kind of went backwards faster than I expected, if I'm being honest. We got Saturn in retrograde. We got that's not Uranus, but that's Neptune. You see here Pluto retrograde. You have obviously the North Node's always retrograde, right? And what else do we got going on? Chiron is also retrograde. So when I look at this chart, maybe you can help us understand. I'm going to try to put the focus on Pisces area, things happening with Pisces and Saturn and Pisces and Neptune. One major thing I'm seeing happening at the same time as conjunction is Mars in opposition to Neptune. You can even say Mercury is like approaching, even though it's going to start going backwards right at this 21 degrees. So it's not really going to get any closer than that 6-degree orb until later, until it comes back for motion, because Neptune is not going to, it's not going to beat Neptune. It's going to definitely come back faster than Neptune. So
Right.
if I just look at these two, between Mars and Mercury in opposition to Neptune, which is already in retrograde, what is the picture being painted for you there?
It's emotional growth, like just the retrogrades overall, like, because to just think about like the downward flow of experience, right? You feel something, you think something, you do something. So with all of this going on with emotional growth and really preparing for the next 30 years, like I think Alexander said, it really is just a, while it was a long process as a whole, because, you know, we had to live our whole lives up until this point, we're really experiencing like a condensed replay of everything we went through, and if we truly care about all the things we used to care about these days, you know? Because I'm sure if you asked somebody 10 years ago, you would find a lot more people that would care about having a nice car, for example. Nowadays, not so much. Like, the utility of it is obvious. Like, everybody knows, like social media and Instagram made it abundantly obvious that it's just people are just explicitly doing these things to extract energy from others via attention, you know? So it's like with things like that and things being so aware, with people just being like so emotionally aware nowadays, the main focus is emotional growth. And what's cool about that is, in a basic sense, that is what it means to raise your vibration, right? To really keep what you're focusing on, to raise that energy up. But what's different about it is it's exclusively focused on people's mentalities as well as their motivations right now. So what I will find interesting is when the sun gets in there and it gets into Virgo, well, you know, which is coming right up in a couple days.
And now we're bringing conscious awareness to everything that's been happening behind the scenes.
Yeah. So like straight up, people are really just going to be like I don't want to be saying bad words, but imagine all the bad words you could say to making a face like this. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like,
I had this before I got into this live. I had this what the F energy. I won't lie. Like right before this live, and Alex had commented on the post saying he was going to be up in here, and I was like, yeah, I'm about to go meditate right now. And actually, Eileen and I had did some breath work right before this live. We just did some breath work. We were just like, let's bring our heart back to center, because Mercury retrograde, I had the Wi-Fi start acting funky. Right, like I'm talking like 1 hour before this. It just basically cut out for like 20 minutes, and it's like, what's going on, bro? And I was at a cafe, and I was being right in the middle of doing my accounting for my finances and just like checking in all the little itty bitty. And I'm like, come on, God, like I'm literally doing what you've asked me to do, kind of what you said. And I looked and I realized like I have not always been good. So if I use this as a live example, right? I've not always been the best with accounting my finances. But I realized today that next month is a year since I've been in Excel, and every single expense has been entered. And this is the first year that I've been really clean on this. And it's been important because it's been a major business step that I've been missing. It was when I was just too deep in for myself in the spiritual realm of what it meant to do what I'm doing, and kind of not bringing enough reality to like, okay, well, at the end of the day, you have to report these taxes and you got to start getting cleaner and better at the accuracy, rather than every year tax season comes around, I go to my tax guy and he's like, what's up? And I'm kind of looking at him like, and I'm just like sweating the entire time. Like, yo, you're going to charge me more than I have to give you? Like, right. Just kind of nervous. But now it's like just coming into it and realizing today, I just realized that I've been a year, technically 11 months, where I've been on point with it. And I laugh because it's like, now I'm in this retrograde and I'm trying to do it. And halfway through, the Wi-Fi cuts out and it won't even let me enter anything else in Excel. And so I'm like, now I got this live and yada, yada, yada. I had to keep moving on with the day. But I use it as an example. If I look at this Virgo energy of kind of like bringing the reality to the dream, right? Not just staying stuck in the imagination, and realizing like what parts of this physical reality, kind of like you said, this fixed star is bringing in to Saturn in this conjunction, what part of this physical reality is actually required to sustain the life that I decided to create one abroad. If I think about Pisces in the fourth house, right?
Mm.
Our living conditions and meet Pisces abroad. But as well as like what I need to do to actually retreat and kind of recover and heal. And you talked about this to me earlier today about you taking a salt bath. And
Oh
I
yeah,
was like, yo,
yeah.
I just used salt on my skin, right? So just to kind of make sure that we put this in applicable terms, what can you add to the discussion so far that makes everything from the spiritual discussion we spoke about so far with this Fomalhaut fixed star to Saturn and Pisces? And how is it coming? How is Virgo in opposition bringing the things that Archangel Gabriel is basically completely dissolving to start the new next 30 years? How do you see this applying in real life between
Well,
Virgo and Pisces?
in some weird way, with all the planets being retrograde and Saturn being like so strong at play, it's like it's almost like even though they are opposing, the Virgo energy is helping Saturn in a way. So
Mm,
this is where like I would say that experience that you were just talking about, where it's like that
mm-hmm,
Virgo energy is kind of opposing Saturn. It's just
mm-hmm,
like it's really reminding us that Saturn moves slow. So in a sense of you just like really realizing how rapidly you've grown with like the business steps that you take, and you were like, oh shit, I just did that. Like, what the hell's going on?
right.
Like all these alignments and like how spirits are looking at us in the spirit world is just like, hey, like no one said you had to progress this fast. Like, remember how you got a whole life? Like, do you really want to be done by the time that you're 40? And then it's just like, oh, there you goes, another 60 years of just mucking about. Like,
Mm,
because at the end of the day, it's like when you're like a higher vibrational spirit that incarnates here, a lot of us who like are watching this probably are, you like don't realize how long it takes Saturn to catch up to you.
mm-hmm,
So like
mm-hmm,
everything you wanted, it's like for example, right? So I've wanted to start this business since I was 19 and just like started astrology, right? I had
sure.
friends. I have like a lot. I have a decent amount of like friends in the world of like impact investing. So they're like, hey, once you got something that's like all started together, like do it, you know? And like it was literally my dream. Working at like I was literally working at the climbing gym every day, like just meeting this man.
Mm-hmm,
And now, like 8 years later, once Venus like retrograde is like kind of bringing all that energy back up of like, I wanted to start this business, I wanted to do this. Literally having that and like literally going out and just like wishing I could just spend like time with this guy because he's like a mentor to me. Like
sure.
I end up like, going out and climbing with him and realizing that like, oh, this wasn't as great as I thought. And now, so I'm like kind of sitting here like pondering back on the fact that like, yeah, well, I'm like wow, but I'm also like, it really took this long to get something that I wanted in the past. And this is
Mm,
like a constant battle for me because I'm just like, how do I kind of match up like my rate of like achieving all my dreams from the past, attaining them, and
mm-hmm,
then realizing that it took all this work to experience that and it wasn't even as great as I thought. And I didn't
mm,
even enjoy the process that much. Like, what
mm,
am I doing? You
mm,
know? So
mm,
it's just like, and like the weird thing is like I could probably talk to anybody and give them actual specific details, and they would be like, "Wow, that's actually amazing. How do you
mm-hmm,
you're bored by that?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, I know. I got a lot to think about apparently, or maybe nothing to think about at all." You know.
mm.
So it's really just like that.
Empty your cup.
Yeah, it's pretty much that. And I guess if you learned from you kind of had the same exact experience today where it was just like the Scorpio moon just said, "Nope, I don't care how hard you're working. I know you're supposed to work on this, and I know you want to optimize it to the highest degree that you possibly can. But guess what? You're an intuitive being. So if you're blocking out, not creating space for any of that intuition whatsoever, then fuck you. You know, and that's just how it's going to be because you're a Scorpio and you're not going to listen, and that's just how it is.
No, that really did happen. And I feel like I've gotten a lot better with this in these days. Like
Mhm.
where in the past when the Wi-Fi went out, I would have probably stayed there, tried to wait for it, like got frustrated in the meanwhile, yada yada. But when it went out, I saw one girl, she got up in the cafe, she just left like right away. And I looked at it and it my intuition was like, P, go. And I was like, but I got time. I could finish this. Like, and it was like, nah, go. Just remember that you stopped on August 5th. And I stopped doing my expenses up to about August 5th.
Mhm.
And it's like what the 21st. I'm like, look, just remember to come back to August 5th and you're good. Like just bookmark it, write it down. So looking at Virgo, write it down so I can let that come out of my mind where I don't have to focus on, damn, where was I when I go back and do the taxes and stuff later? Like, no, I was at August 5th. I was right here. And the irony is by me doing that, life was much smoother. I came home, I went to Eileen, I was like, hey, there's like these 4 expenses and I have no idea what these are. Do you recognize these? And the irony is she showed me to go to Google Maps. Okay, so again, local travel, Mercurial energy of Virgo. She's like, oh, you can go to Google Maps. I was like, what? I was like, and she showed me a calendar on Google Maps. I was like, what is this? So I learned something new, a new skill, learning a certain mastery where Eileen, she understands, she has Virgo energy. She really knows how to do, she put me on the Excel sheets, for example.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. There you go.
And so she's showing me this and I'm looking at the map and it's showing me everywhere that I went on the day. And I'm like, what? So every day I'm looking back and now I can combine it and compare it to my credit card statements. And I'm looking and I'm like, wait, so I remember this day now. I went here, then I went here. I was like, oh my God, that's the crystal shop purchase. She's like, oh yeah, that makes, and I'm telling you, like I had about 4 expenses that I just didn't know what they were. I was like, what is this? And I was like, did we do this together? Did I do this by myself? And eventually I go to Google Maps. So I learned something new, right? I think of Virgo as like hermit energy, mentee energy, where not really about force, okay? Allowing the mutable energy of Virgo to flow. So when you think about what is mutable earth, anybody listening to this right now, this is mutable earth. It's like realizing that reality and life has roadblocks. So when there's a roadblock in reality, let's say internet or Wi-Fi, Mercurial technology is cut out, right? That's a roadblock in the physical world. So the world of spirit is trying to tell me, let go of something based on this Fomalhaut Conjunct Saturn, which is the physical reality. It's like, let go of trying to force your way through this. Aries, quincunxing, Virgo energy, the misunderstanding. So Aries is like, Now I asked Joe about quincunx energy when I met him in a couple months ago back in Connecticut.
I was so astonished that you never knew about that. I was like mind blown. I was like, wait, really?
See, and this is you're getting me right to what my point is, right?
Yeah.
And so I think y'all got everything about the Virgo of put this into reality, right? I learned a new skill by allowing myself to shift. Spirit in the metaphysical world was trying to tell me this roadblock exists because we have a blessing waiting for you, but you need to let go of trying to force your way through this. And this misunderstanding quincunx relationship that Aries would naturally want to go ahead and force through, Virgo says shift. So this brings me to this card. And then I'm gonna give it right back to you. The moth, I saw this on my door and it was brown. So understand, brown is the color of Saturn. It's the color of Capricorn. Okay, it's the color of slow, stability, time. Okay, taking time to build a structure, right? Meditate, breathing, stuff like that. So it says the moth is impulsive, hasty, and wishful. And right before the Wi-Fi went off, I was like, I should slow down. And I started doing some breath work and I pulled some tarot cards. Again, tarot cards, something I can physically touch, Virgo/Mercurial energy, right? You can touch and you could do divinity with your hands. So I pulled tarot cards at the cafe and it kind of told me a little bit of the same thing. It was like, yo, you're building something that takes a long time. I can't push my way through this. I'm building courses, I'm building memberships, I'm building blah, blah, blah. I'm doing a retreat. These things all take time. I can't, right now, Virgo is always in the midst of having too much on its plate where it needs to filter stuff out. It's more about what can I get rid of to maximize this process with a certain sense of competency. So again, the moth is saying impulsive, hasty, and wishful. The moth, you feel me? The moth is sure that the grass is greener on the other side. And you just spoke about that with your mentor. It's sure the grass is greener on the other side. Moth energy is at play when we're attracted to easy solutions or anything shiny and new.
Yeah, that'll get you. It's interesting you say that because it's like, while you were saying that, I had a lot of thoughts pass by, but the one that stuck was this just like really expanding on that opposition. So in some way, it's like this opposition is kind of asking us to do nothing. Because bringing back on that day that we met in CT, you like what you said to me is Virgo is here to categorize all the chaos that Gemini created.
Sure.
So bouncing off what you said with like everything that you're building, and with like, you know, Pisces being all like subconscious, intuitive, all like the basic aspects of Pisces, maybe it's time to really step back and kind of like ride that like teeter-totter of those two mutable energies to just see what pops up with your intuition. Okay, maybe because you already, like, in a sense, we already have all the cards on the table, right? So maybe it would be best to just ride that intuition and by seed, like, here, maybe you need to cut this out. Okay, cool. How do I cut that out? Bam, there you go. And then, okay, here, what do I need to organize? And just keep riding that wave back, forth, back, forth. And that seems to be based off everything you said, including the moth, just to, you know, not to be chasing that false light that can easily be shut off at any time, you know?
Right. Right. And this is a part of where it glows, right? So here's the
Yeah.
finish of it. You led me to the next piece.
Mm.
This can lead, okay, following the easy solutions, being attracted to shiny and new things can lead to unfinished projects, disappointment, or
That
even
sucks.
burnout, right? And that's what Virgo's here to do, is here to help us finish the projects, get that information over to Capricorn to make boss decisions later in December when some of the retrogrades are letting up. We just said that Neptune letting up is no December 6th,
Mhm.
right? And that's still Sag leading into Cap, I believe. So boom, it's helpful to remind moth personalities, so this is moth medicine today, that life is complex. No matter the illusion, Pisces, no one is exempt from the trials and tribulations of this great journey. Practice seeing life as an infinite mystery rather than wishing it was easier or different. So, with the moth, kind of what you said, when it's out of balance, this energy, we know it when we idealize others or when we're feeling jittery. And you're just like, I gotta go here, I gotta do here, I gotta do that, I gotta. When you're feeling jittery, or when you idealize others. Now, when you're in balance, you're feeling enthusiastic and whimsical. Okay, to finish and bring this into balance is asking us to finish a project. That's what it's asking us to do. It's saying, look, finish a project. Look at the things that you have not finished, and let Virgo energy clean up all of this mess, all this chaos energy. Let Gabriel help support you with this fixed star, with this full moon coming in Pisces, conjunct this fixed star and Saturn. And let these illusions wither away by not doing new things. Stay still like the hermit energy of Virgo long enough that you can recognize what the chaos even looks like. And then start getting rid of things one by one by one by one by one by one by one. And the more things you get rid of, the cleaner and clearer the whole picture is going to be of all the complexities that's happening in the world of spirit with 7 retrograde summer. And it's going to bring us to a place where we start finishing a project. And that's kind of what I've been doing. I was like, I'm going to start redirecting and put most of my energy on finishing my first course. Because I started trying to do like 3 courses at the same time.
Yeah, I know
I have all the content.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was like, you know what? And when I did that, 2 times my course got deleted. It didn't save.
Oh God, that's terrible.
Right? And then the one that I finished also got deleted because I was trying to use the one I finished and add into the new one I was creating based off the one I finished, which showed me when it got deleted that I had other things that I wanted to put out, which I didn't do because I was multitasking on trying to do the next one. So this is my point. So what happened now, I decided, okay, I got these other 3 courses that I pretty much have the content ready for, but let me finish this one course and let this be the roadmap. I don't know what's happening with Taurus energy, but I have a feeling that this has something to do with Taurus and it's squaring energy going back. You got Venus now squaring Uranus and Taurus. And I think when I'm looking at Venus being a part of money and monetizing your creative passions in Leo, and then Uranus saying, look, let's use this technology wisely to help stabilize our passions, to help stabilize what can bring us more romance with our passions, also a certain sense of stability in our love life or the things that we love. If you don't have a romantic partner or friend, the things that you love, the creative projects you love doing, how can we use technology to see forward on what we need to plant today? Uranus is forward, planting today, Taurus, where it's stable and it's sound. So that while Virgo does this, organization of the chaos, as old forms of physical reality continues to wither and die away, as well as, and I think the key with this, with the Mars and opposite of Neptune, how we have been our own worst enemies. And when I think Mars as the physical body, how have we treated our physical body? And what have we done to alter the physical state of our being that put us deeper into this illusion that's making us run faster. Not even because we're running fast. You may be moving slow. But if you're moving slow, even in the wrong direction, because you're following an illusion versus what's actually here, tangible earth, I feel like this is a part of the grand picture. But I want to open it back up to Joe and see what he says.
Oh, I wanted to ask you more specifically about just the energy of completion and what that has to offer you.
So for me, and this is why I feel like the course has been something I'm like, look, I'm going to focus one thing right here, finish this one course. When I look at completion and what I've been doing this even around my house. So again, in the physical reality, what's happening behind, for like 3 weeks, my clothes. So we have a laundry lady and she folds our clothes, right? So it kind of makes it simple, but somewhere along the way, my closet got chaotic where I'm putting new, freshly, perfectly folded clothes from the lady on top of clothes that are just kind of thrown in the closet. So it was chaos. It was just chaos. So when I brought the clothes to the laundry lady next time, the day before we got our laundry back, I got this random inspiration. Now Virgo moves off inspired action. Leo will just move just because it's inspired all the time. It just will take that risk and say, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? And focus on a variety. Virgo already has the variety and trying to get rid of things, right? So when I look at Virgo, Virgo is now saying, I only move on inspired action. I'm actually going to hermit until I know what to do, until I'm inspired to do that thing, because I know this is what I'm supposed to do, not just doing something to fill up time as an earth energy. It can change as the immutable earth. And so the day before my laundry came, I was like, you know what? I didn't plan this out, but I opened my closet. I was sitting down for some reason next to it. And I was like, let me fold these messy clothes in here now because I'm getting my laundry back tomorrow. And I've already done this twice with my entire closet being completely messy. So now doing that to completion rather than doing one step of, let's say one step is giving a laundry lady my clothes. She's folding them. Okay. I'm halfway through. These are the clothes I'm wearing most anyways, because they're the ones that's in the laundry. So I'm probably going to rewear these exact clothes. So I could just instead of just doing it halfway, doing it to completion, what it did was it opened up my mind to remember, oh yeah, let me catch up on my taxes and my accounting. Because prior, my mind, it signified how my mind was cluttered. I did the same thing in my kitchen cabinets the other day. I was like, the shelf that I never touched. Same thing happened with my altar like 3-4 days ago. I have not cleaned my altar in months. And I was like, let me do this. And I got the Clorox wipes and I did the dusting on the altar. I cleansed off all my tarot cards, all my stuff on the altar. I cleansed all of it. So again, doing that to completion for the altar, doing the kitchen cabinets to completion. Now doing my freaking, my closet. Each one of these are now 3 things to completion. And what it has done is it's clarified my mind. It has shown me, what do I really need to do? Prior to that, there were so many things that I kind of knew I needed to do, but they were all over the place. I didn't have any of these things written down. Side note, the closet, the kitchen, or the altar. Those weren't written down. It's just things that were in my mind. So when you ask, what is the benefit of doing the completion? This is what I feel like it was. All of this got clean and clear for me. And what it's shown me is, okay, what do I really have to do back in my business? Which is really where I put more of my focus at, if I'm being honest. But I was neglecting these other daily duties of Virgo. And Virgo's like, look, I need you to understand that I'm an earth sign. And this is actually a joy to make sure the dishes are done, to make sure the plants have been fed water, right? Like to make sure that I did the fertilizer and it, because I'm every 8 days I need to do fertilizer, because I saw prior what happens when my plants don't get it, right? So it's like Virgo was showing me, like, when I'm not handling these things in the earthly realm, it's showing me how unprepared I am to receive the blessings that's trying to come, that Archangel Gabriel is creating space for.
Okay, so bouncing off of the Virgo thing, let's bring it back to something that's a little more personal, right? Because we both have Pisces in the 4th house, as well as Saturn being in 4 degrees of Pisces, which is what conjuncts Fomalhaut. So I guess what is interesting and how we both sort of went through the experience of having it like just pushed off and having all of this like energy kind of come back into the space of just knocking us off of all the nonsense that we thought we were doing back into the space of focusing on what we truly want to do. How do you think that specific alignment of actually having it in 4 degrees, aligning a 4th house in like, you know, a fourth house Pisces person, how do you think it affects
Sure.
us?
So for us, the thing with Pisces is, and I've been learning is Pisces, when it gets into a creative flow, it
Mhm.
just goes and it's completely unstoppable. It can just go all the way off the kilt and just never want to end. Pisces has that endless
Yeah.
energy as immutable water, right? Like it's that deep ocean. Like there's always a mystery involved with Pisces energy, and it's as deep as the ocean. The ocean is still completely undiscovered, and this is a part of our own subconscious patterns as well, right? Completely
Mhm.
undiscovered, and we just endlessly get obsessed with how deep can our imagination continue to remain formless, because in that space you discover so many gifts and blessings. But Pisces at the age of 77, it's always at that point in human years, 77 years old till death, where we are dissociating from reality.
Oh, it's gonna be crazy.
Right? This is when we have dementia. This is when our physical body is no longer, we start pissing our pants, right? We need somebody to take care of us. We start getting very dependent in these ages. We go to convalescence homes. We can't sustain. So
Mhm.
when I look at this with Pisces, it's kind of telling me now we need to recognize that we have to retreat, fourth house. We have to retreat. We have to step away from the public. And if I look at it, Virgo 10th house, for example, we have to step away from the public and the everyday duties of being in my community, being in my environment, going to do local grocery shopping, being to the point of a distraction, right? Because buying your groceries is never going to stop. Doing my laundry is never going to end. Washing my dishes is never going to end. I'm always going to need to clean my altar. So it's like by putting so much energy there, what it's doing is not allowing us the time to pull the reins back in on the metaphysical world, which is endless. Same way that in the earthly realm, all those tasks, those daily tasks, they're endless. They're all endless. So it's telling me pull back and put constraints. Now, this is where Saturn coming back, right? Put constraints on that endless imagination, on that endless ability to create. Because what this is doing is creating all these projects, which now we're in this space of being what? Unfinished, with more projects than we can fathom. So I give that example. Right now, I have, again, like I said, at least four courses worth of content. It's done. It just needs to be organized. But that organization takes mad time at the same time. Like it does
Mhm.
take mad time. So like it's taking more time than I would like. And there's a part of me that wants to believe I can do this if I just focus hard enough in one day. But it's me working against this Saturn retrograde season, because the retrograde season is like, look, maybe if we were running in forward motion, yes. But I feel like what's happening is because we are only at Virgo, right? From Aries to Leo, we're just in the sunlight. And Virgo is the part where it starts to set. Once we hit Libra, the sun is at set, right? We're now going on the underworld from Libra all the way back to Pisces. We're in the underworld. So when we're in Aries to Virgo, we're on top. But Virgo is that turning point where it's
Mhm.
saying, look, this is the first point where we slow down. You said it earlier today. Every Aquarius full moon, every year, everything starts to go downhill from there. Well, that's why, because Virgo season is right there. And we're going into the underworld, which means we're going back into retreat. It's an inward process. So when people see us shining and yada, 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 it's all the stuff that's happening in this from now, today, and the next 6 months from now. They see the shine in month 7, month 8, month 9, month 10, month 11. And then again, once that 12 hits, we're back where we are again.
That really ended up as a wild conversation of endless cycles. I mean, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's Pisces. That is Pisces.
nice.
You know, it's multiversal energy,
Mhm.
right? Like it doesn't end. It is in multiple timelines, multiple realities, multiple past lives and future lives and this life. This again, a 77-year-old grandparent. They don't know once they hit 90, 80 years old, they do not know what happened in the past versus what's happening today versus what's going to happen to tomorrow. All of it happens for them all in one sync. And literally like having Eileen as my partner, being a Pisces, I'm
Mhm.
witnessing this within her, but in our 30s, right? We're in our 30s and I'm watching this elderly person in a 30-year-old body, and how it's like she could just be completely lost. But the irony is, in that lost state, they're also divinely guided of what to do. The whole key thing is, can they surrender? And that's how Pisces energy acts all the time. Can we surrender? Can we let go of what we think is real? And can we let go of what we think we need to do and allow ourselves to be guided by what's being asked of us?
Damn.
And it's always harder to trust in this current third dimensional mental body reality, because right now, as a collective consciousness, we're in the mental body. And the mental body says, look, this doesn't make sense logically. And Pisces is like, I don't operate here. I start causal body, fourth realm and up. It's already out of the physical body. So when you look at the Fomalhaut, I don't know much about it. You're telling me more about it today, but
Right.
It makes a lot of sense about what you said so far with Archangel Gabriel, and essentially withering away what we deem to be reality, and realizing that that was just a side quest mission to get us to discover something that we wouldn't have got if we logically thought, I need to go this way, where spirit was like, yeah, but I need you to do this, where maybe you still end up here, but you need to do these side missions, gain some skills, gain some abilities. This is Virgo on the opposition right now, our skills, our abilities, our talents, and kind of just improving on the process. So when I look at it, I think of Virgo. Say it, hit me.
No. I was gonna say, it's like, that's the thing. It's like, in essence, the Gabriel aspect of Pisces is that it's very simple in its core, where it is just that aspect of letting go, and then everything else is that like Piscean aspect. So it's interesting when you say that, because it's like, I really feel that Saturn conjunct Fomalhaut right now is going to put everybody through that process of letting go, and really just push them to just like take that step back and focus on where they truly flow. Because it's weird, because it's like if you break down the word Gabrielle, it's like, it's almost like a wave and like a roller coaster, where like the Ga part is the aspect of letting go, where you really need to take that step back and go, ah. And then the Riel is the wee. That's like the breeze of the Piscean aspect, where it's like you're truly free and you really understand that thing. You know, it's like that. It's like that.
First time I heard that.
Yeah, it's like what everybody says about like doing like the upper echelon psychedelics, for example, like DMT, where it's just like oh, it's the greatest thing ever, but you're so terrified at first.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow. I was just checking in with the comments. So maybe we can support the people in the comments below.
I was going to ask what house they have Pisces in.
Say it again. Okay, so everybody drop what house you have Pisces in, and Joe and I we'll go back in tandem between the houses. Maybe I'll pull some cards here, get some insight from the animal oracles. Animals have been the ones talking to me the most so far lately. All my other decks have been kind of quiet, and the animals are just like, hey, they're in my dreams. They're everywhere. I'm having all kinds of animal medicine lately. So drop what house you have Pisces in, and we'll try to help you understand how between Neptune and Saturn, and even the full moon coming in Pisces, aka all Pisces energies, will kind of give a collective understanding of what this might look like.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of I'm not as excited for the full moon in Pisces being having Saturn in it, because last year it was great. This year, I don't know.
Having Saturn conjunct Pisces. When I look at this, so as I go off on this next tangent,
no one gets
everybody hit the thumbs up, hit the likes button. We're gonna go off on this tangent. I'm gonna take a moment to take a breath, and in the meanwhile, what I'm gonna say is, if you have not seen it yet, definitely take this next 44 seconds and kind of dive into the fact that we're running this Sacred Innovators Retreat. If you're somebody who's looking to actually start working full-time as an entrepreneur, this is definitely something that you want to consider. You're leaving the whole 9-to-5 job. You want to start traveling abroad. These are the things that I know I and Eileen have been doing in our lives, and I can really help support you doing that. That said, waterfall magic is one of the things going to help us to cleanse all this water Piscean energy. Definitely, as we get to Scorpio fixed water, where it gets dirty from now until then, this is that season. We're running it in November 9th and November 16th. So check out this, and then let us know what you think. Joe and I will take a breath in the breather in the background.
We got commercials now.
Commercials, baby. We absolutely do. We got to use our resources. This for me is Taurus and Uranus, okay? Use your resources to the max. You paid for something, you're involved with something. If it doesn't work, then get rid of it, all right? So what I want to do is we're going to get ready to give everybody a little forecast. To do that, Joe, you mind sitting up straight with me, get our spine right, and just do a little bit of breath work with the people, all right?
Yeah,
so what's up?
All
right, so we're gonna shoot lightning bolts out of our hands. I want these to be all of the negative thoughts, all the thoughts that are bringing anxiety in your life about what to do, when to do it, how to do it, when to do it. Think of all those thoughts and just lightning bolts. Just envision them shooting out of your fingers and just. And then we're gonna go. Beautiful. And then notice your shoulders dropping, your jaw relaxed. Beautiful. My hands just went limp. Beautiful. I'm going to go ahead and tap on my chest here. And this is going to release all the pressure that we hold on our chest, all the density that's been remaining in our heart in this physical reality because we're not following that heart maybe, or we're not trusting our heart over our minds. Okay. And then from here, I'm just going to open up my chest and I'm going to softly inhale. I'm going to make no noise. And I'm going to visualize that air traveling down into my belly at a slow rate as my belly opens and expands. And I'm just going to let that air escape out of my mouth. I'm going to take one more inhale slow. Envision the air following my hand through your own body. The air is now in my belly. And I let the air rise up past the heart, cleansing the heart. And the air is now coming back through my nose, slow, soft, and quiet. Down the throat, cleansing my throat chakra, charging the throat, in the gut, the creative center. I'm going to free my inner child as I exhale. I cleanse the heart. The children are happy. They come out through the throat. And everything untrue to me is now going out of my body. And I take this last breath. I'm going to inhale hope, passion, strategy, change. And I'm going to exhale doubt, fear, worries, and anxiety. You may go. I'll take my last one here. I'm going to inhale love, purity, and a white golden light. And inside, I'm cleansing with Leo, cleansing my thought patterns around money, and I'm exhaling all the fears of money, security. It's all gone. It's time to create. It's time to finish projects. Beautiful. So thank you all for taking that time to say it again.
I said I really like how that giant crash happened when you said exhaling doubt. It was getting out of there.
Yeah, get it up out of here. There's no time for that. We ain't got no time for that. So hopefully y'all took the time to, hey, what's up, Thelma? I'm happy to see everybody in here. Hit the thumbs up and the likes button. If you're watching this on replay, again, like we said, drop the Pisces emoji in the chat, whether it's on Joe's channel or my channel. Hit the thumbs up on both if you can. Get this algorithm, get this video out on this Fomalhaut, this fixed starseed energy on my starseeds in the chat right now, coming up on this full moon. So drop your Pisces placement. If you have the planet, please drop it with the planet, drop it with the house. And if you know me, drop it with the degree. If I have all three, I'm a lot more.
Before we get off the scene, I got to tell you something. So to really like amplify and like optimize your workflow for like expanding certain videos in the algorithm, I got to show you this website. I think I might have showed you before. It's called Focus.pro, but it's basically an AI website that will calculate like a long form video like this and basically chop it up anywhere from like 4 to 15 shorts that already have it's like fully edited. And like basically on that,
you sent it to me once, and I tried it like twice, but it was booked. It was so full.
Really?
There's so many people using it that it never let me get past the waiting line.
That's crazy. It's still like even to this day, I freaking like it still works for me fine. That's crazy.
I'm gonna try it again. Like it could
Yeah,
have just. This is the retrograde, right, in Virgo, so it may be time for me to just go ahead and swing back because I haven't tried. I tried it twice when you gave it to me, and it was just full. They were like waiting line, yada yada yada. So I will try it again for sure.
that's crazy. But yeah, anyways, let's start with yeah, it was a beautiful meditation for real. I think the first one was the seventh house.
Okay, okay. Let me move up and get that one.
Yeah, it was
Christy
right
Belly,
above fourth house.
Christy Belly. If you're still here, uh, feel free to tap in and let us know what planet you have that in. But beyond that, let's move into the seventh house Pisces. What you got for this? I'm excited about this to hear from you as well because I have a Virgo rising this year, so for my solar
Oh,
return. So tell
yeah.
me about this. What's
But I guess it's perfect that I'm talking to you for this because for the seventh house, it really is about cleaning out those relationships and cutting and like just cutting ties with things that truly don't resonate with you. I know we've talked about a lot about this privately, and you've done a lot of this where you told me about like certain things you had to do with like regarding like certain like sexual relationships and cleansing that energy because you carry that energy from every partner that you've had. So I really think like that is something that I know you love talking about like that side of things. So I think for someone with having
absolutely
that seventh house, that is a very, very important thing to do. I would say that that's honestly like the place to start, and honestly like work your way down into more like the mundane, like menial relationships, because especially like Virgo risings, I feel like Virgo risings have a lot of that issue where they get on like the bad end of mistaking service for servitude. You know, it's
Tell me
something that
about that. Elaborate.
well, that really goes hard in this realm of reality because it's like anytime you do somebody an act of service, if you don't assert the fact that you need like that energy reciprocated, people will take advantage of you, no problem. And you see it happen like all the time. Because like think about it, like even like the people that like wouldn't do that, like they're normally very like agreeable and like very like I want to help you. You'll
Mm-hmm.
notice that if you give them service long enough with nothing in return, they will eventually have an expectation, that an unconscious expectation, and you will see the
Mm,
person ever become into like a narcissistic like asshole. And it's weird. It's
mm.
really is something about this realm where people mistake service for like servants in a sense. So I really would,
No, I hear that.
yeah, I really would pay attention for that like clearing because the second you cut that person off, they'll probably give all that energy back to you in an instant, which may not be good for either parties because you can't give all that energy at once depending on how much you were pushing in. So I just find it quite interesting, and I really think that everyone who has a seventh house of Pisces should explore that. Because while the return may not be immediate, you shouldn't always be doing things for return. I know that kind of contradicts what I just said, but there's moderation with everything, and in some ways,
Sure.
you need to just give out into the universe and just like not expect anything back and just accept it. Because if
Mm.
mom didn't see it, your brother didn't see it, even your own spirit guides didn't see it. God saw it. Because I remember we were talking a little earlier before we actually got into the actual opposition between Virgo and Pisces. We were just talking about where you basically said like, "Damn God, I was doing all the work you asked me to do." When in reality, we all have to accept the fact that at the end of the day, God's gift to us is existence itself.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, no, I'm thinking about like 4 or 5 Virgo risings in my head, and wow, you just hit them on the nail, bro. Like falling into the expectation that they'll be supported because they're giving out service at a certain point was one of the big things that hit when you said it. But the first one, even before that, was cleansing their sexual energy, right? Taking the time to realize what you're no longer willing to tolerate. When I think about seventh house, it's one of the houses we did this in our course for our membership just the other day with the seventh house about how seventh house also speaks about intolerance and what you're no longer willing to tolerate, right? Like if you look at the shadow side of being Aries, he's not a very tolerant person, is like pretty much cutthroat. Libra
Whoa.
can be overly tolerant in in certain areas. The seventh house can be so focused and so um, obsessed with justice and fairness and equality that they believe and project out their idealisms, aka Venus. Their idealisms about what relationships should be like and what a fair world is and what a fair partnership and connection with another person is, especially in these significant relationships. But that's a projection. Libra is the master projector, and as a part of Saturn. And so when we put that into account,
balancing things out when they don't want to externalize it into this reality, like they just
exactly,
convince themselves of it.
and that's where this comes out. And one of the things it says is the starfish is beautiful, it's alluring, but it's superficial and it's also shallow, right? It literally says the problem is these creatures have been reliant on how they look. Libra, seventh house, and what other people think of them. Libra, for so long that they may have forgotten their deeper callings. And you said this at the beginning of the call with the Fomalhaut Conjunct Saturn, right? And it says, when this card appears, it's important to ask, am I being swayed by outward appearances? Somebody type that in the chat for us all so that we can put that up on screen, please, and save me some time from doing it. Type this. Am I being swayed by outward appearances? Question mark. And then follow it with, what dreams have I put aside to please others? Am I being swayed by outward appearances? What dreams have I put aside to please others? And what it says is when you're out of balance, you gossip, Libra again, and it feels empty, right? You just feel like an empty shell. Now, when you're in balance, you're feeling uplifted, artistic, and expressive. To bring in the balance, it says have positive friends. Surround yourself with positive friends. So again, this is seventh house, this is relationships, this is social groups, this is friendships, right? Today, the moon in Libra just went over the south node. The moon in Libra just went over the south node. So boom, right there, we're being asked to let go of certain relationships that are not positive for us. Certain relationships that are too gossipy, that make you feel empty. Is asking you to let go of that superficiality. Asking you to put yourself around uplifting people. Okay? So
fair.
That's that.
It's
I didn't see anything. I wasn't even looking. What happened?
Nah, you were busy reading. She just I don't know if we moved on from that point, but Farah plugged it in the chat.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you. And as well, Steph, thank you for your donation and your contribution to whoever's channel is on. I feel like I can't see anything. I'm so far. There's a lot of comments right now. So what I want to do is I want to move to the next seventh house. Hopefully that house, it was fourth. You said it was fourth?
Yeah, the next house is the fourth house.
Crystal Sky. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, you noticed is Christy Belly, she actually said she had Saturn in 5 degrees, and it is her Saturn return. So I think you might want to get on that before your Saturn return starts to strike.
Wow, this is your Saturn return. You better hear everything we just said. Welcome these new Pisces, baby. I'm happy. I'm done with mine, baby. I'm done with mine. I'm so happy. And I can promise you that
I got a couple of years still.
It's worth it. The one thing I can say, when I first met Joe, our first conversations was about Saturn return. And I was like still in the thick of the ending lessons of mine. So I was still trying to understand, and I still feel like I'm understanding. Now I think I have a much better grasp. When we met maybe almost a year or something ago now, I don't even know anymore. But when we first met, I talked to him about having relationships, talking and speaking with people, and really focusing on what's true to what's true to my special identity and the people in the groups I want to be involved with. Excuse me, and why doing certain collaborations for clout or for status or to be known by somebody or a group of people has very detrimental outcomes when you choose superficiality, when you choose shallowness. Saturn doesn't work with that. Okay, you must stay in integrity. So Christy, I hope that still really worked in with you. I see okay, I'm probably totally out of order right here. I see Thelma in the second house because I just saw Neptune and Capricorn, but I think we're doing.
Yeah, well, the next one was the fourth house we were talking about. It was for Crystal Scott, and the fourth house we kind of already talked about of where you were mentioning.
Sure.
It was. I don't know if you heard it, but it was talking about really undermining the flow state that you truly have in the home, which is why you were talking about how it's yeah, you got to handle all those external world mundane aspects, which we all have Virgo in the 10th house. But it really is understanding how to get in that flow state of once everything is in order in the home. It's what can you truly tap into once everything is at peace, once everything is put aside, and you're really in your own space. Because being a Scorpio ascendant, you are deeply intuitive. We're all deeply intuitive. You're talking to 2 Scorpio ascendants right now. So really getting into that space and understanding how you can achieve that energy of being in that flow state from within, not only within your home, within your heart chakra, but within your own internal space at itself. You were saying that is just like limitless, where that Pisces energy, once it can get over those earthly attachments, it can literally ride that wave endlessly. And that's something that really spoke to me, because not only do I have my South Node in Pisces, but I also have Jupiter in Pisces. So when it comes to, like you said, riding that wave endlessly, that is like a lifelong passion of mine. If it's just like, once I find the greatest thing ever, I will go. And yeah, exactly. Peacocking. Because once you find that greatest thing, there is no stop. There is no sleep. Your eyes are literally popping out of your head, because the essence of Scorpio in itself, which is why this Saturn transit will be so profound for you, is precision. That is the peak of Scorpio, precision. So once you can find that one thing, and you can treat it like a businessman, where you just have your money making system, where you just keep clicking that button until it works endlessly, you will press it endlessly, because it is the greatest gift to you in itself. Because as much as you give that wave, you will ride it and an outsized return with the utmost leverage, which is why Scorpios really do have that. I wouldn't necessarily say it's that like unconscious Piscean aspect, but with Scorpio, if you look at it as the ocean, you know, Cancer's on the beach, Pisces is everywhere, and then Scorpio is that undertow. You are that generating factor of that wave that you are going to truly ride once you get to that comfortable space. So when we're speaking about Saturn and Gabriel, in a sense, it's like you really have to ask yourself, if anything is pulling at your heartstrings, do you truly need it? Do you truly want it with you? Because when something pulls at your heartstrings, it's trying to take your energy, whether you want to reframe it as something else or you like it or not. That's really what it's doing at the end of the day. So for all Scorpio ascendants, if something doesn't feel right in your heart, this Pisces full moon will really ask you, is it right for you as a whole? And you know how it is when you're a Scorpio, you have a certain amount of time to make that decision. So you better like really, really isolate and use that.
Right. There's a certain like immediacy that always happens with the Scorpio rising. It's like, you know, it goes back to that moth card. You want to kind of get it. You want to get it now. You might even make it happen and come quicker.
And if you don't choose, you get nothing. It's how it always
exactly. And not only do you get nothing, but you fall into a state of disempowerment. You start falling to this like why me type giant. You know what I mean? Like what's going on with me? Like you start feeling weak inside. Like what the hell's going on?
All that time you spent wondering, you get a bill for that. It's fucked up, but it's how it is.
Yeah, rent free. So you're talking fourth house. This brings us to the fourth house. This is the peacock you get. It speaks for inner beauty, compassion, and an assimilator of anything. It says how the peacock's beauty is unrivaled. People might think it comes from the plumage, but the reality is it resides within, and it extends outwards indefinitely. So within is, again, fourth house. Right? Like that's you going in and taking the time to reflect, to introspect, to do backward thinking, to actually realize what you thought about and kind of change the form of something. One of Cancer's abilities is backwards thinking, and they actually are able to take something that already exists, let's say a puzzle, and let's say you have a puzzle that is in the shape of this plant, right? It's or I want to say Legos. Let's say you have a Lego you have 90 Lego pieces, and it makes this plant. It's about being able to take this plant apart and take away 90 pieces and build something completely different. So the form of it has changed, but the density is the same. You're using all the same pieces. So this is one of the fourth house abilities, but it can only do that when it introspects and it sits with the data and it sits with its feelings and it sits with its emotions. And that's kind of where this card continues. And it says that this creature can assimilate or digest all experiences in life. And that's what the peacock can do. It can digest, quote unquote. So it does not harbor resentment, conflict, or past pain. And all Scorpio risings need this. So our fourth house Pisces is what allows us to surrender the emotions that we were once stuck on and change the form of that motion, change the form of how it was getting stuck in our body, and essentially take a formlessness, Pisces, and push forward and cleanse with new water, Cancer or fourth house. So the final part of this is that the peacock type is extremely rare. And not many of us have reached this advanced level of acceptance of ourselves or of others. So what happens is when you're out of balance, you can't digest the situations that you're in. And to get in balance, you have to retreat. You have to go to the ocean. Like I think in like 5 days from now, I'm going to the ocean. I'm going to the beach. And I'm going to spend every single day in the ocean. Because right now, light workers are being asked to, we got to cleanse. Like it's getting ugly out there. People don't, and not everybody can deal with 7 retrogrades at the same time very well. You know what I mean? It's getting ugly. If you're a healer out here, if you're out here doing light work, you're out here doing service-based work, you need to go to the ocean, you need a river, you need a waterfall. I promise you right now. So what this also says, when you're in balance, you're feeling confident and you're actually very kind. Now, to bring in balance, it says to meditate on the navel. So what do we just do? We just did a little bit of breath work and we went down to the navel, our relationships with ourselves and with the relationship that better improves with others. And that's what the fourth house does. If you don't take that time, then you can't better understand the morals or the emotions of another person because you can't separate your emotions. And what this does is it sets you up to be gaslit. Now
Here,
people can convince you.
I would actually argue that the navel is the cusp between the 6th and the 7th house. So it's like kind of more focused on relationships, which is like interesting since we're dealing with the Pisces and Virgo opposition.
Cusp of the 6th and the 7th house, and say the next part.
Basically working relationships. So specific, you know, or like something that someone of you deal with on a routine basis.
Yeah, especially because that applies to the transits and what's going on right now. And I feel like that he's right on point. So hear what he just said, for sure. Hear what he just said. 11111 on screen. What house we got next, yo?
The second house. Second house, and then specifically, who was asked?
Second house. Thelma Journey. Thelma Journey, if you're still here, say something in the chat. Let us know.
Oh, the Amon Journey. Oh, what's up, Amon?
The Imam Journey. I always say Thelma. My bad. I knew that. The Imam Journey.
Second house. Ooh, and then we have a first house person. And after that, I think.
So I'll do the first house person. Internal expansion. Let us know if you're in the chat because you're coming up next. So for now, we'll stop at the second house. All right. This is the Fomalhaut fixed star video. This is us talking about Saturn and Pisces as well as Neptune and Pisces. So we're dropping our Pisces houses. Just so you all know, we're asking you to hit the thumbs up on the likes button. Okay. If you're in a live chat, I want to say thank you. Take the time to go into the chat of the algorithm of the actual video, drop a Pisces symbol, drop what you have learned from this video so far, along with the Pisces signal, and get this video for both of us to go ahead and expand out there. We're calling on the people. All right. So second house, what you got?
For the second house, I would say this is like everything you are attached to in like money-making matters. You need to stop and reassess what truly aligns with you. And actually, so basically, I think what it's really asking is maybe it's really letting go of that like Piscean flow of what you would do, where it's like you do like a lot of gig work or something like that, and you really just pick on that one thing. Like, what is that true one thing that you want to build that will give everything to you? So this is like that real lesson of that opposition where we were talking about that Scorpio energy. Yeah, exactly. Precision, the tiger. What are you hunting down out of life? What are you trying to manifest? What is the alchemy of the hunt to you? Because at the end of the day, it's like when you look at the Pisces in the second house from a broad sense, it always starts off with they do everything, right? And that is like in so many ways, that is the beginning of a journey for 1,000 different things. Pisces is the beginning of the journey in the spirit world. Pisces is the beginning of the journey in the, you know, in everyone. But the point that I really want to make is every single entrepreneur always starts with, oh, it does everything. It does everything. And then as time slowly rolls on, you need to focus on like the constrictions in your entrepreneurial journey. So what is the next constriction? You need to identify, express, and figure out what the next constriction is and focus on that. So, you know, with the second house in a basic sense, it's money-making matters, but also it's like, if you do everything, you kind of really have to ask, like, what values do you have within yourself? What values do you have for yourself? Because if you put your energy on everything, you have no restrictions. You have no stops. You have nothing that you won't let your energy touch. And I can really speak to that as like a Gemini, and especially an 8th houseian Gemini, because I literally do everything. Like so many things you can imagine, I do. And it's like, what's interesting, because it's like, when you look at the 8th house, you really need to understand it from the standpoint of you're kind of in that space of the black hole where you absorb everything. You just take everything. You go through everything. And the whole purpose of that is to help you speed along identifying the true nature of Scorpio in itself, which is precision. So this is what I'm basically saying to you, like, just figure out what it is exactly you want to do and do that. It really takes a lot of time to just like kind of block everything out the same way that like we were talking about for Pisces in the 4th house. Really take that step back and sit with your intuition and just see where your intuition guides you. It's already there. You just need to expand upon it and build upon it, because that's what Saturn's asking you to do. You already done the expansion, though. You said you got Jupiter there. But yeah, I don't know. What do you want to say to that?
What a tiger asks you to bring it in balance, it asks you to stare at fire.
Well, I like
Straight
that.
up. It says candle gazing. So I took a moment. I'm gonna light this incense. I'm even gonna let it burn a little bit. And it asks you to stare at fire. All right. And what it's asking you to do while you stare at the fire is asking you to actually do this at nighttime. And the tiger says, look, like, don't be afraid to be in the darkness. Don't be afraid to embrace the dark feminine energy. The tiger actually is a lunar force energy, and it's not a male. It's a lunar force.
Well, that was the last.
So it's saying it was what?
That was the last new moon that we just experienced. The dark feminine. New moon conjunct Lilith.
What the heck? Let me see if I can still hear you.
Yo, what's up?
Okay, no, I can't. Yo, something weird just happened in my headphones. It just like, I don't even know. It's some sci-fi stuff.
It probably cut out because I was saying something profound. You know how it goes.
Probably because I was like, what? It just literally cut out. So the tiger is saying, look, it's a lunar force. It has ease in the darkness and the feminine energy. It's saying that there's nothing to fear if you take the time in the stillness. And this is second house. This is Taurus. It's the bull, right? Like, it's like learning not to move so you can understand what you're willing to move for, right? It's like stay still long enough so you understand what's worth moving for, because the bull does not try to do a bunch of extra work, right? It's not a monkey. It's a bull. When it runs fast, it runs powerfully, and it's unstoppable. It can knock over a train. But when it's staying still, it's pretty lazy, all right? It really is just going to be there. But it stays still in order to understand what it wants to magnetize and attract into its life. And it stays more still like the mountain. So it's asking you not to be afraid of staying still. And when you're out of balance, you're actually being overstimulated, okay? And that's not allowing you to awaken your own power. So align with the feminine forces, the lunar forces, do it at nighttime, and heal your spirit and your sense of sensuality, as well as your receptivity, what you're willing to receive. And the devotion, understand all of this is heightened at nighttime. So again, second house, to receive what you possess, literally. But as a feminine energy, you need to open up that level of abundance. And Pisces is helping you to let go of this stuck mentality. I would even relate whatever's going on for you in Taurus and your chart, because Pisces quincunxes. No, that's not true. That's not true at all.
It's sextiles.
Sextiles. Thank you. So Pisces is likely helping Uranus, literally, right? Uranus and Taurus. It's helping to let go and liberate you from some stuck mentality, some stuck fixed image you have on your sensuality, on your receptivity, and everything else we just said. So when you feel strong, when you feel passionate, when you feel sensual, you know you're in balance. Stare at a candle. It's called trataka. Trataka. That's what the candle gazing is called in this language. So that's for you. What house we got, baby?
That sounds cool. The next house would be the fourth house. I mean, the first house. Sorry.
First house.
That's interesting.
Which part?
Pisces ascendant. What part?
Oh no. You said that's interesting. I was just checking it.
Oh yeah. No, it was they said the 5th degree. Oh, so that means Saturn is like right up on that cusp of the first. Technically, Saturn would be in your 12th house, and the full moon would be in your, so like right into his first house. Interesting.
This is first house, 5th degree.
Yeah, like smack on the cusp.
So what we got for this person? I know a lot of Pisces 5 degrees, 5th degrees, a lot.
Really?
I really do.
Oh, that's wild. Honestly,
they're very
what?
Huh? No, I was saying they're very interesting. They're very interesting people because, it's like, imagine a Pisces who's egoless, but who also is aware of their ego.
That is like the most confusing thing I think I've ever heard all day.
I've met so many of them that it makes sense to me now, and they're actually very powerful people. What I've learned is they're better at kind of managing the whole masculine feminine merge they're not. They suck at it until they don't. So that's the key. Like, they generally suck at it at first. For what I've noticed, when they're unaware of what that means and how to merge the masculine and feminine, they're very terrible. They're bad at it. They end up being completely obsessive in the spaces of fun, partying, and escapism. They go way too far. They always go bigger, and they find many ways of escape.
So it's like the classic like born again Christian trope of where it's like, oh, I was doing all these drugs and partying, and then oh nope, now I'm all pure. Now would you like to get baptized?
Exactly. It happens, but that takes them. It takes time, and they're timeless with that. They don't really. That only happens for them, I find, when they find something that's actually worth their heart. Like literally, like when they find something that their heart actually wants to align with, that's fine. That's the only time when they switch it around. When they don't know when they're not able to listen to their heart and follow their heart in that endless Pisces fashion we spoke about, this is when they're kind of lost and they fall more into the escapisms. So,
Ooh.
what we got for the first?
Honestly, like what you kind of just said seems to be spot on, especially with them having it in the cusp. But what I will say is, I think it's different because Saturn is literally like more in their 12th house. So I would say something like, whatever that undertow is that pushes you, whatever pushes you to, man, what do I want to say? Whatever that like deep undertow that kind of drives your subconscious is, I don't know. It's like that unconscious aspect that you can't really speak on, that you don't exactly know what drives you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like whatever that is for that person, I think they'll realize how much they've actually like built their life up upon that, especially with Saturn moving from their 12th house to their first house. So I think they're gonna kind of have that first like aha moment of how like strongly they truly built their subconscious. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like that mental construction.
As if I contribute into that, I feel like what's happening is one, how you perceive your identity is going through a complete makeover. Like, right, we look right back to the Fomalhaut in the conjunction to Saturn. And I'm curious about this because I heard this, that Fomalhaut could mean actors or fame. It could be indicators of fame or actors. Did you ever hear that?
I've never heard that. I would, if you said martyr, I would believe you a lot more.
Yeah, no, it was the first time. I had looked it up just a couple of days ago when I had asked you about this live, and I was the same day.
Yeah.
Somebody was talking about it, but I'm unfamiliar with the fixed star altogether. Now, the reason why I could say like, yeah, that's possible when I think about it is like Neptune is representing part of Hollywood, and Hollywood you can consider where famous people are, right? So and actors. So I can look at it and I can make that comparison to Neptune, but I don't know enough about Fomalhaut, so that's just my imagination. If they're taking it from that Neptunian aspect of acting and embodying, so when I now bring that back to the first house, it's like, the identity you're embodying. It's likely asking you to. You've always imagined yourself to be somebody, right? You've always imagined it to be somebody, but did the vision you have of yourself match? And did you actually put the work in to match that? Right? Wow, that one came out easily. This is the cosmic egg, and so the cosmic egg, the element of this is spirit, and if I'm not mistaken, this is about aligning with the heart chakra. And I think we said that about the fifth house, the fifth degree Pisces, and the first with Pisces energy. Pisces energy is with the fifth degree. Yeah, that just went right up in my throat. I just got somebody. Somebody just choked up.
Damn.
Where? I lost my book. Oh no, it's right here. Okay, so the golden egg. I'm pretty positive it's the heart chakra. Yeah. Okay. Listen to the message at the center of your heart. That's the question, right there. That's the axe. It says, if you do not have a meditation practice, take a meditation class. Literally, it's asking you to introspect. Okay, on who am I, and how did you believe you were somebody, and now you're realizing that you're not who you thought you were. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting right now. You're not. This is more intuitive at this point. I'm kind of adding intuition versus like looking at this logically. It's actually to introspect and contemplate. When the mind begins to settle and the breath is calm, ask the question that weighs heaviest on your heart. And you kind of said that earlier about Scorpio risings, but it's going on for this Pisces rising right now. When a feeling of tenderness or gratitude arises from deep within you, know that you are well on your way. Now, if I brought a little bit of human design in this, I know that if you have this Pisces at 5 degrees, I know that you're activating gate 30, 7. And this actually speaks about weakness and tenderness, right? And like the path of going from weakness to tenderness and everything in the middle. And essentially the strength is letting go of outdated models about what it means to be a man and what it means to be a woman. So as a Pisces rising, theoretically, it wouldn't matter what your gender is, but you would kind of flow back and forth between being a man and being a woman, or being masculine and being feminine, but kind of being lost in that process, especially with that 5th degree, right? Especially with that masculine energy of Leo, that 5th house. So it's like when you can merge the two, you realize that you don't need to be, you don't need to take on the traditional role of a woman, and also you don't need to act in spite of it, right? Like now you can make money, you don't have to depend on the man, or you don't have to depend on somebody else to pay your bills, or to do this, and that. Where let's say the man used to do, traditionally speaking, right? Because Pisces is still exalted in Venus, so it still has some type of traditional value, but it's trying to totally let go of that stuff. And so it's like, where are you holding on to those traditions? That's a huge one right now. That of what it means to be who you are, or what it means to be yourself. And the outlook you have, how is the outlook you've had? You've allowed yourself to stay hazy. You've allowed yourself to party, to do the drugs, to basically overstimulate your system, and essentially not listen to your heart. So when this is coming in, it's actually really to get really intimate again with this luminous space being your heart. It is said that the inner guides sit deep in there, inside the heart space, when you only can get there through, quite frankly, revelatory meditations, and ask the Anahata to translate what is the unstruck sound inside your heart space. Like, and I feel like this is like everybody. Like, believe it or not, like that's Pisces in a nutshell, being always a part of everybody. Like, this is everybody. What is the unstruck sound in your heart? And that's it. Did we have any other houses?
No, I think that was it.
Okay, cool. So hopefully that definitely was beneficial for y'all. We'll get ready to bring this to a close. With that said, I'll show you the imagery of what did come up. And if I can remember any of the recommendations, fire gazing for the tiger. All right. Get in tune with your heart, the unstruck sound. If you look at this as a collective message for all of us, the peacock, take the time to introspect and realize that you can digest any situation if you do that, if you do take the time. We had the moth earlier, which is gone. It's basically asking us to not be so hasty and impulsive, and always thinking that the grass is greener on the other side. Stop idealizing other people. If we look at the starfish, it was speaking about how alluring and beautiful it is, but to be mindful of being superficial and shallow. It's not going to work this season. Retrograde is, Venus is retrograde in Leo. Like, you got to be real. You got to be real with your own inner authority. You got to see yourself as the inner authority. You have to listen to your inner wisdom and channel that wisdom and be firm within it. And as well, also to be gentle. And this is what I seen like the collective message. Don't start too many new projects. Finish old projects. Finish projects you already have in the working. What's going on, Sierra Waters Astrology out here?
Oh, Sierra. She's my friend.
Gang. So that said, Joe, do you have any close-up message for the people before we tell them to hit this thumbs up button?
I was just processing some of the last things you said, because I was applying it to myself, and I was like, oh yeah, I got a lot of unfinished projects. Damn it.
Mad unfinished projects. There's too many right now. I feel like everybody is in that bracket.
It's a lot going on. I guess we really were. Appreciate how lucky you were during the times we were direct, and experiencing that Aryan aspect of that inspiration, that light bulb moment where you're just like, this is so great. I need to do this. And then really, really follow it through. Because just where we started off the conversation of everything ends up where you kind of began, really, really remember that the gift after the end of death, at the end of the tunnel, is birth. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that aha moment is coming back, and think about how much better it'll be when you actually complete something and you create an ecosystem to give that feeling to everybody else and allow them to facilitate that process. I think that's what we're looking towards.
Yeah, 1000%. That's on point.
Mhm.
So again, at the end of this video, if you're watching the replay, I want to say thank you for being here. Drop the Pisces emoji after this live chat, outside this live chat. Help both our videos, whether we're watching on my channel or Joe's, to get this algorithm to blow itself up, okay? And bring in the support, especially if you actually consider us real leaders out in the industry of astrology or in the space of spirituality, okay? So go ahead and let us get that chance to get up and out there. That said, drop that Pisces and something you've learned from this chat or something you want to share in the chat that you think of somebody watching on replay will benefit from. Think of this as a, how can I do whatever I'm going to do? Whatever your comment is, think of how can I do it in service? Not servitude. Joe made a great point earlier. Not in servitude. All right. Not in servitude. Maybe if you explain that again one more time, because that was beautiful. You ripped so many people open with that. They were like tearing. What's the difference between servitude and service?
The difference between service and servitude is equal recipient. Well, damn, what's the word about recipient? Reciprocal energy. Having the energy reciprocated for the benefit of you. That's the difference. Because without that, you'll just be serving.
Right. Right. And then you fall into the expectation energy that because you're serving, you know, that somebody owes you something because you've gotten to such a habit of endlessly giving and caring. And eventually it turns into martyrdom that we all know Pisces to be when they fall into those low frequencies. And that's keyword, in the low frequency. In the high frequency, it can give from a place of love and it can be the gift that keeps giving. But it's because it's also filling its cup up. Its cup is also always full when it's doing so from the proper frequency. So that said, again, we'll see you all soon. Joe, this is a pleasure. I want to give you a moment to go ahead and check out the promo. Remember, like I said, apply to the retreat. If you're feeling a heart call, I'm going to leave this last 44-second video of showing you the promo of what the retreat is looking like. Okay, the different magic forms. Angelic Reiki is one of the things I'm finding is going to be one of the biggest values. The Angelic Reiki we're doing at the retreat. Okay, animal flow movements. All right, getting back in tune with the nature deep within yourself. All right, back into the raw, who you are, the raw self, the raw inner wisdom. All right, the wisdom that nature gives us, and waterfall magic to so much more. So we'll see you here, and Joe, I'll catch you backstage after this. There we go. All right, Joe.